Thanks for joining us here at Enjoy the View Travel, and welcome to the channel. This week's View on Travel Season 2 starts now. Well, we are back. We were on the Celebrity Ascent back in March. I know it's now April. It has been a busy couple of weeks since we have been back. So I wanted to catch everybody up. And the first thing I wanted to let you know was, did Celebrity Ascent live up to the hype? And I think so. It is a gorgeous ship. I mean, you cannot deny that. It is absolutely gorgeous. They did an amazing job of creating all of these amazing extra spaces for you to sit and hang out, both indoors and outdoors. Probably the best outdoor space I have seen on a ship. The Grand Plaza had multiple levels to it. It allowed for them to have a variety of events going on at the same time. And it was really like this hub, which was really, really great. I did not see a bad seat in the theater. Let's see what else. Celebrity, you did great on this one. I'm really pleased with it. I enjoyed the Ascent tremendously. The food was great. I got to try foods that I normally wouldn't. And I always recommend that to everybody, that when you go on a cruise and you have this opportunity to try these foods that you don't, one, make every day at home, or two, are not readily available where you live, give it a try on a cruise. I tried octopus for the very first time, and it was very good. Now, my mom got it a second time while we were on the cruise, and she said the second time was not as good as the first. So with the first one, it was cooked perfectly, and it was nothing like I really expected it. So I was pleasantly surprised. And so I don't want to give away too much, because we'll have the videos coming up on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. But when asked if it lives up to the hype, I say yes. If you have the opportunity to go on Celebrity Ascent or any of the Edge class ships from Celebrity, because they should all be very, very similar. There should just be very, few things that are different. I highly, highly, highly suggest it. Say it ain't so, Southwest. Come on. So, I know a lot of people fly Southwest for many different reasons, but one of those reasons is that you get not one, but two free check bags. Well, as of May 28th, that's no longer going to be true. You will no longer have bags that are flying for free on Southwest. So, details on how much it will cost have not been released yet, but what I have seen is that if you have the Business Select, which is their top tier seating option, you will still get 2 checked bags. So I guess they're going to kind of consider that as their first class, even though it's not really first class. So they're kind of trying to make themselves, I think, comparable more so with Delta and America Airlines. Or not America, American Airlines. But when you're comparing apples to apples, though, they aren't comparable. For example, the rewards program is not comparable, especially since we did report earlier that they have reduced their points per dollar spent on the type of ticket that you purchase. So Southwest does not have a true first class. Or really a true business class. So what they are calling their business class is what has a little, and by a little, I mean a little, extra legroom. So as more details come out about the cost of the bags and whatever else they're going to change, because they're just kind of silently changing some of this stuff and dropping it here and there, then we'll let you know. But I have a feeling that this is going to change the amount of people that fly Southwest. So we, who typically fly Southwest, our cruise that we are going on in October, we have already booked through American Airlines in first class. So I just think that Southwest is fixing to make some bad decisions, or already has made some bad decisions. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them, but I think it kind of already has. I've seen lots of complaints about that's really the only reason that people were flying Southwest, is because they got their free baggage. They got to pick where they wanted to sit. I'm like, if you buy a regular plane ticket, you get to pick where you want to sit. You just don't do it. I feel like not picking your seat gives you a little bit more freedom, because one, I don't have to be right on top of my phone the day I have to check in for my flight so that I can get a closer boarding number so I can get a better seat. I don't have to worry about that. If I pick my seat, I've already picked it. It's mine. My name's there. Nobody else can sit there. And I don't have to worry about being the very first person to check in when we can check in for our flight. I can check in whenever I feel like it now. So I think that this might hurt Southwest in the long run, but we will keep you updated on what we found out and when we hear more. All right, since we're talking about airlines, let's just keep going with that theme. So a couple of weeks ago, American Airlines had a flight in Denver that caught on fire. 12 people were injured, minor injuries, but 12 people were injured. As you can see here, they were having to get off on the wing of the plane. So they were originally headed to Dallas. They diverted to Denver after the crew reported engine vibration. And then once they landed and they were taxiing to the gate, the actual engine caught fire. And so the plane was stopped and evacuated. And then just yesterday, excuse me, an American Eagle plane was evacuated on a Georgia tarmac after they had smoke in the cabin. And so there is video up showing them also getting off on the wing and having to actually jump off of the wing. Now, and this was an American Eagle, so it was more of a commuter jet. So it's smaller and holds less passengers. What we're supposed to be flying in October, actually. So they seem to be having a little issue. And I think it probably have these small issues all the time, but we're seeing it more reported now than typical because of the crash that happened at Reagan National. I think that's the only reason that we're hearing about all of this. I think that there is stuff that happens every day. Just like, there are things that happens with cars every day out on the highway, and the interstate, and, 2-lane roads and whatnot. But, and I think that it's just, being a little bit heavier reported because of that recent crash. So having said that, my question to you is, with the increase in the air traffic accidents, both with accidents and with malfunctioning of the equipment, the smoke, the fire, does it make you more nervous to fly? I have to be honest. When we came back, our flight, and we'll discuss that whole day at another time. But that flight coming back where we landed at Reagan National, it took the same flight pattern coming in as the flight that crashed. And if you've ever flown in to Reagan National before, you know that the runway is just right across the water. And so as we got closer and closer to landing, I had the window seat and I was like, we're getting closer and closer to the water. And that's a bit of a anxiety thing for me, because I have a bridge phobia, that I'm going to crash off of a bridge into the water. So I have that phobia, but it applies to any vehicle in water, which is hilarious to me because I love to cruise. As we got closer, I was like, oh my gosh, are we fixing to land in the water? Are we landing in the water? Where's the runway? Why can't I see the runway? And then I saw the runway and I was like, okay, there it is. But it still feels like you're fixing to land in the water. And if you've not flown into there, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it was a little we landed and I kind of breathed a sigh of relief. But anyway, let us know in the comments below if all these recent issues are going to keep you from flying. Well, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I reminded you of all the things coming up this year that you needed to have: your real ID if you were going to England, the ETA, is that what it was? ETA? And then the ETIAS for travel to Europe that was supposed to go into effect here in 2025. Well, it's been delayed yet again. So it's not expected to go into effect until late 2026, and they are saying there's going to be a transitional grace period, which means that it's not going to be required until sometime in 2027. So as we get some updates on that, I will pass those along. Where are all my Florida Keys fans? I have some exciting news. So Breeze Airways is going to start operating nonstop flights from Florida to the Florida Keys. So they were going to be flying out of Tampa and out of Orlando, and this is going to start in June of 2025. So Breeze Airways, you can make your way to Orlando or Tampa. You can fly nonstop from there to the Florida Keys. Check us out at enjoytheviewtravel.com for more information. Happy birthday to Disneyland. They are going to be celebrating their 70th birthday, and they're going to have tickets as low as $100 per day. They'll be good for visits from May 16th through August 14th, so that does include the summer. How exciting. So reach out to me at enjoytheviewtravel.com for more details and to help you plan your Disneyland vacation. And if you like our content, please be sure to click the like, share, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss the next episodes. And also leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, so this is just a little elevator etiquette that we're going to talk about for a second. It was an observation that I made on our cruises last year, as well as the one that we just went on, as well as at hotels. So it's not just, a cruise thing. If you're waiting for an elevator, and this can even be at a doctor's office or, wherever, any building that has an elevator. So don't rush the elevator when the doors open. Most likely there is someone who needs to get off the elevator first. And then once that they're off, then you can get on. When you rush the elevator and people can't get off, then it just creates a little bit of an issue. So if you're going to stand in front of the buttons, like you come into the elevator and you stand in front of the buttons, don't act annoyed when someone asks you to push the floor that they're going to. You made the choice to stand in front of the buttons so that nobody else could stand there and that nobody else could reach the buttons. So you essentially have made yourself the button pusher. And so just don't act annoyed when somebody asks you to press the floor that they're going to. Also, this really goes to the cruise, but it does work other places as well. Be mindful of those who are on the scooters or have wheelchairs, and give them room to get on and to get off. Know that they're going to take up extra space in the elevator. We didn't have that issue for ourselves this time, as none of us had a wheelchair or a scooter. However, on the cruise we went on last year, my dad, he had been having some ankle issues, so we got him a wheelchair just to make it a little easier on him. And I will, first off, it's going to take forever to get an elevator anyway, because you have to wait for an elevator that has space that will hold a wheelchair. Plus, there were 3 of us, including him, and including him in the wheelchair, to get onto the elevator. So, just, use common sense and let people get off before you try to get on, and everything will run smoothly. So just an observation that I made, and I thought I would share. I'm sure that you guys have seen this as well. And then, and holding doors open for those who have a scooter or wheelchair, that, makes it much easier when they're trying to transition into a new space that has a door, which you already have to, worry about getting through anyway. So just things like that. It was something that was on my mind, and I thought I would share. I know that most of you probably already do that, and I'm preaching to the choir, but just so I get it out there again. Y'all, check this out. So this is the London Eye, and this is footage from yesterday. They started dismantling it because it was originally planned as a Scottish tourist attraction, but was leased to London for 25 years, and 25 years is up. So it is going to be renamed from the London Eye to the Loch Lomond Eye. And it looks like it's going to begin its journey to Scotland on April 5th, which is tomorrow. Let's see here. And it's going to be going on a 2-mile long convoy that's going to go from London to Scotland. And they're probably going to have traffic delays because of that. And Scotland is excited and ready to welcome this new landmark. No word on when it will be up and running again, but if you were interested in taking a little ride on the London Eye, it is no more. It is headed to Scotland. Well, since I mentioned Disneyland's 70th birthday earlier, I thought we'd talk about that as our travel deal of the week. So Disney's 70th birthday is fast approaching, and you can get tickets starting at $100 to $120 per day for one park, available in 3-day and 4-day packages. And again, this is good for May 16th through August 14th. There are some terms and conditions that do apply, so reach out to me at enjoytheviewtravel.com for more details. All right, we are ready for the travel tip of the week. So you're probably not going to like this one, but it is something that really, really must be done. So you want to make sure that you read all of your travel documents. This means your travel documents that you get before you leave, any travel documents you get while you're there. So for example, and I know it's boring mumbo jumbo, but it's so important. So they give you your luggage tags and your disembarkation information early. And in this case, we got it on Friday for our Sunday disembarkation. So upon reading over the information, I realized that we were given the wrong luggage tags. So we had a transfer from the port to the airport with Celebrity, but we were not given the tag numbers for that. Our tag number was one number off. Now, I am sure that it was just a simple grabbing of the wrong tags because they're side by side, and it really wasn't a big deal to get fixed. But if I had waited until Saturday night to look at that information, I would have been scrambling around to get the correct luggage tags unnecessarily. And so all I had to do was call down to guest services, and I explained the situation to them, and they promptly sent up the correct luggage tags. We had them by that evening, and I called that afternoon. So it was easy to fix, but you had to read the information. So this applies to everything, including the terms and conditions from all of the suppliers for your trip. Airfare, cruise lines, hotels, transport companies, excursions, anything that you're doing on your trip, there are terms and conditions. I have terms and conditions that are on my presentation information that I give you in the proposal. And so it is your responsibility as the traveler to read all of that and know what is expected of you as the traveler. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching this week's View on Travel. And until next time, enjoy the view. Thank you for watching this week's View on Travel. Be sure to visit us at enjoytheviewtravel.com. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss our next episode.